Hey, good morning. This is Pastor Steve Mapp, and I am so delighted that you've taken a few minutes to join us for our devotional on this Monday, November the 30th. How wonderful it is to have you. And as most know, this is, of course, the Advent season. Yesterday, Sunday, was the first Sunday of Advent, and of course, next Sunday will be the second Sunday. And last week, I mentioned to you that I thought during my devotionals for the Advent season, I would take one of the four Gospels and read the story of the incarnation of God into this world through the birth of His Son, Jesus. Last week, we took a look at the coming of Jesus through Mark's Gospel, and this week I thought I would choose a little bit of Matthew's Gospel to speak to. Matthew, his first chapter actually is a genealogy that basically points to the birth of Jesus. And then in chapter 2, he begins the story of that. And so I wanted to read the first several verses of chapter 2 in Matthew. Now, after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king, behold, wise men from the east came to Jerusalem, saying, "Where is he who has been born King of the Jews? For we saw his star when it rose and have come to worship him." When Herod the king heard this, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. And assembling all the chief priests and scribes of the people, he inquired of them where the Christ was to be born. They told him, "In Bethlehem of Judea, for so it is written by the prophet, And you, O Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah. For from you shall come a ruler who will shepherd my people Israel." Then Herod summoned the wise men secretly and ascertained from them what time the star had appeared. And he sent them to Bethlehem, saying, "Go and search diligently for the child, and when you've found him, bring me word, that I too may come and worship him." After listening to the king, they went on their way, and behold, the star that they had seen when it rose went before them until it came to rest over the place where the child was. When they saw the star, they rejoiced exceedingly with great joy. And going into the house, they saw the child with Mary his mother, and they fell down and worshipped him. It seems to me, and I think this is accurate, that the Magi were original spiritual seekers. They knew in their hearts, I believe, that the medium of their knowledge, the language of the stars, was not enough. And they came in hope, following the star, to find the new king of the people Israel. You see, there was something greater to them beyond the stars, something that transcended their context. And so they followed the star. They were seekers, they were askers, and eventually they knocked on the door of Jesus' birth home and knelt down and honored him. In Jesus' very first sermon, the Sermon on the Mount, he spoke to a large crowd. Now I imagine that there were people of all backgrounds, of different color, many different traditions, many who didn't belong to a certain tradition, people of all ages, people of wealth, people of poverty, a mixed bag for sure. But they came to hear him with hope and to hear what Jesus had to say. And in that very first sermon, he told the crowd this: "Ask, and it will be given to you. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and the door will be opened to you. For everyone who asks receives, and he who seeks finds. And to him who knocks, the door will be opened." I just think that's fascinating that here in this particular birth narrative, the Magi were the first ones we know who came and sought, who were spiritual seekers, who who knew that there was something behind the stars, beyond the stars, the creator of it all, who had promised a newborn king, who would bring hope to the people Israel. And so they wanted to come and see this king, the king that would rule their lives, the king that rules ours. And I just find it so interesting that that in that first sermon that Jesus taught, ask, seek, knock. And that's exactly what the Magi were doing. And they were from the east. They were Gentiles. And of course, we understand that the message from God to his people, that his son would be a God for all peoples, is proven right here in the very first pages of Matthew's gospel. The narrative of the Magi is a narrative within the greater narrative of the coming of the Messiah that Matthew brings to us. It's our narrative. It doesn't matter who we are or where we come from, what our past is, what estate we're in, be it high or low, of low means or great means. When we come to seek spiritually, God fulfills that seeking. God's love for us, the gift of his son, the promise of salvation, it transcends our context, just as it did the context of the Magi, those stargazers, the star studiers. Jesus posed the question to the people that he preached to that day in his Sermon on the Mount, and he poses the same question to us today. How much more will your Father who is in heaven give what is good to those who ask him? That's what our Father, our Heavenly Father, promises to us. He can give us more good than our earthly fathers or than anyone else can. We simply need to seek and to ask and to knock and to trust. That's exactly Matthew's message to us this morning. And I am so grateful to have a chance just to talk briefly to it this morning. Those original travelers that came so far, distance-wise, and so far tradition-wise and spiritual-wise, to find the true King and the God who loved us so much that he sent him here. And each and every Advent that you and I go through, we are reminded of that we can seek and we can knock and we can ask, and we too can find ourselves in the straw around that manger. God bless you for tuning in this morning. I'm so thankful to have a moment or two with you. And I hope that today you indeed will continue to seek and to ask and to knock and have those doors open to us by our Heavenly Father. God bless you. Hey, be safe and be blessed. And I'll see you again soon.